What if the greatest villain in history wasn't just one man, but a trillionaire dynasty? Or even worse, what if every heir to that fortune has actually been the same person since 1888? In Absolute Batman 15, Alfred reveals the dark origin of the Joker family to Bruce Wayne. From street performers to owning private prisons and tech empires, the Jokers have shaped the world through chaos, profit, and a super twisted secret. Get ready, because the man who doesn't laugh is way more than just a psycho. He literally owns the world. And what Alfred drops at the end of this investigation is so wild that when I tell you, you're gonna have to smash that like button. Ready? A plane lands on a private island while Alfred fills Bruce in on everything he's dug up. The trippy part, even after 3 years of deep diving, Alfred can't tell what's real and what's cap. Take his island, for example. The guy owns hundreds of them across the globe. We see a man stepping off his private jet. It's the Joker, the man who doesn't laugh, the man in white. He looks a lot like the main universe Bruce Wayne, and that's not a coincidence. The artist did that on purpose. This Joker has hundreds of useless islands that he only visits once or twice a year. Bruce is like, why? And Alfred has no clue. Nobody does. The only theory that sticks is that he's a man who loves the hunt. Batman tells him to cut the official report and tell him what he actually believes. So Alfred starts tracing the Joker family roots. Alfred decides to give Bruce the facts first. On this page, we see Alfred's investigation board. The word Joker spelled out in cards, and the strings are pinned to look like a distant smile. Pretty sick art, right? Alfred starts a story in 1888, when what might have been the first film ever was recorded. Batman sees the footage and asks if the guy in the hat is Joker's great-grandfather, but Alfred says that guy doesn't matter. It's the kid dressed as a clown. That's Joseph Grimm, aka Jack, the OG Joker. The kid was a street performer, an orphan growing up in Gotham. According to Alfred, he was a pro at making people laugh, yet he never cracked a smile himself. As his rep grew, Grimm took his act to vaudeville, stacked some serious cash, and invested in his own theater, Just Kidding, or JK. Bruce recognizes the name. That's the same company currently funding the Arkman prisons. Alfred says the Grimms moved into movies, and while the industry was cutthroat, their comedies were miles ahead of the rest. By 40, Grimm was one of the richest men in Gotham, chilling in elite circles with Rockefeller and Carnegie. But despite all that clout, Alfred reveals Joseph Grimm was a total ghost. Very few records, photos, or interviews exist. He did a ton of charity work, mostly for kids, but they never even knew his name. He allegedly died in 1938 and was buried in the family crypt, but the Grimm story was just getting started. Jack Grimm had a son, Jack Jr., who took over at 20 and pivoted to entertainment, being one of the first to bet big on TV. He created several JK subsidiaries named after famous clowns. Like his dad, he played the philanthropist role, opening orphanages all over the US. Fast forward to the 60s, his son Jack Grimm III went all in on cable TV. Then in the 70s, Jack Grimm IV was born, the one who took JK into the gaming world. There's even a Nintendo Easter egg in there. Finally, we get to the current one, Jack Grimm V. Alfred says he's by far the most successful. He was an early investor in online gaming platforms and chip manufacturing, turning Jack into a trillionaire. Just like the ones before him, Jack V doubled down on corporate charity. Bruce asks, what's the catch? What makes this guy so dangerous? Alfred keeps talking, but the comic cuts to what's happening on the island. Jack V is hunting. Alfred says on paper, there's nothing wrong with the Grimms, nothing scary. On the island, Jack finds a leopard and charges it head on. Alfred says sure, he's eccentric, but all billionaires are. He's the classic American success story. Then, Jack's eyes turn red and he kills the leopard with his bare hands. From the shadows, Jack hears someone whisper. Batman cuts Alfred off again. He doesn't want the official story. He wants to know what Alfred really believes. To explain, Alfred goes back to the start, back to 1888 and the first Jack Grimm. Alfred mentions that Jack used to perform right next to a dentist's office. Back then, nitrous oxide, laughing gas, was a new thing and dentists used it constantly.
The realty? Jack was stealing the gas and leaking it into the alley during his shows. It made the crowd super vulnerable. They weren't just laughing, they were handing over all their money. The whole act was a massive grift, and that's what the Grimm family has always done. A long con. Alfred reveals the Grimms play both sides. Everything they do has an action and a counteraction. The art shows they supported both sides of history, the Nazis and the resistance. They built right-wing and left-wing news outlets. They fueled peace and war, crime and prisons, including Arkham. Alfred believes the Grimms are the most powerful family on Earth, living by the motto, live like a clown that cons everyone, and not even all the gold in the world is enough for them. Back on the island, Jack V follows that voice until he finds a shack. He finds a man who's been lost on that island for 30 years, but when the old man sees Jack V, he recognizes him instantly. Jack tells the man to run, and the guy bolts, fighting for his life. Batman stopped Alfred again, saying he doesn't want the MI6 report, he wants the tinfoil hat version. So Alfred finally spills the third version, the most insane theory of all. Back to the 1888 clown, Pennyworth reveals that everyone in that first movie Jack filmed died right after. They died from a toxin Alfred thinks was on the kids' gloves. Alfred is saying there's something way darker going on. He found records showing that some of the most lethal inventions in history were tested by men who were laughing. In the present, Jack V rips off his shirt and hunts the man down. His face looks different now. Alfred says everyone who ever crossed the Grimms died under suspicious circumstances. Even an FBI friend of his had a freak boating accident and vanished. On the island, Grimm takes the man out with an arrow. Alfred suggests that Jack Grimm puts his enemies on these islands just to hunt them for sport. So the story basically hints that Alfred's friend, the one who's been MIA since the 90s, is actually the man lost on that island. Batman pushes Alfred to keep speculating, and the agent thinks Joker is using kids somehow. First it was the orphanages, but now it's something way bigger. He found a way to use cells from children as some kind of elixir, and that's what they're testing in those prisons. In the present, Jack V starts transforming into something straight up demonic, and the lost man on the island is completely shook. Finally, Alfred drops his real theory. There is no Grimm family. It's just one man. It's been Jack Grimm since 1888. At that moment, the fully transformed Joker lunges at the man. Pennyworth says he's a nightmare, maybe a product of science, maybe the occult, but he always shows up as a clown, someone who never laughs but is always lashing at humanity. He is the Joker, and on the island, the villain literally devours that man. Batman says he's heard enough, and that he's going to go check on his friend, Waylon. Meanwhile, Alfred reflects that Batman didn't sign up for this. Over the past year, all he's discovered is that monsters are real. Monsters everywhere he looks. The agent admits he told his whole story just to get it off his chest. At the end of the day, he calls himself a coward. Alfred also mentions that Batman recently heard about a woman in Gateway City with powers, and looks like that's the hook for Batman to head to Gateway and meet Wonder Woman, since we've got a crossover coming up in the next few issues. At the very end, it's revealed that Jack wasn't even on one of his islands anymore. He's back in Gotham where he lives. He watches Batman fly across the skyline from the street and hops into a supercar. The villain arrives at his mansion, which even has its own butler. He turns the gears of a clock, revealing he has his own cave. Yeah guys, the Joker has a cave, and the story ends without showing what exactly he's hiding down there. So there it is guys, we finally got the absolute Joker's origin, and it pretty much confirms the theory I talked about in a recent video here on the channel. I'm digging this origin, it's super macabre. If you think about it, this idea of Joker being an ancient evil entity that's been around for over 100 years is something Scott Snyder toyed with back in the New 52 during the Endgame arc. Back then, it didn't fully land because it didn't quite fit the mainline Joker, but here in Absolute Batman, it works perfectly. It's a great take in my opinion. They managed to innovate and bring us a version that's completely different and even creepier. What did you think of Absolute Joker's origin? Who's your favorite? This new Absolute version or the classic purple suit Joker we all know? Drop a comment below because I really want to know your take.
Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell to stay updated on everything Absolute Batman. And hey, smash that hype button so this video climbs the ranks here on YouTube. It helps let people know you want more comic book content. Thanks so much for watching. I'm leaving a video recommendation right here for those of you who stayed until the end. I'm sure you'll love it. Thanks again, and I'll catch you later.